What's up, guys? So this pandemic has struck again with another huge blow to the economy, and this time it's real estate developers, and real estate investors with a new 80% tax, an 80% tax that they're faced with when they build out new properties and bring them to the market. This is going to be a devastating blow for the real estate market. And I know right now the market seems very hot, but I think after this, we are going to see a huge pullback in terms of new construction, and I'm going to explain why in this video. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. You will not regret it. I post consistently, nearly every day, about real estate, business, personal finance, and all things money. All right, guys, let's begin. So what is this tax? Well, the tax is an 80% tax on lumber due to all the government mandated shutdowns. The government has shut everything down, saying it's not essential, including lumber yards and mills. So you have all of these people that are leaving cities. They're saying, you know what, I was in the city before for my job, for my nightlife, for college. Now I'm going to go to the suburbs and I'm going to get a little house, or depending on which level they're at financially, they're going to buy. And if they're in a good spot, they're going to go buy a new house. And if they want to buy a new house and there's not that much inventory like there is right now, there's a 30-year low for housing stock. 30-year low, super low interest rates, and it's very motivating for people to realize a beautiful home. If they're spending $4,000 a month in New York City, they can go buy a $600,000, $700,000 house for the same monthly debt commitment. So what this is doing is it's bringing in a huge surge of builders seeing the gold rush. They see all these people going to the suburbs and they want to buy, build, and sell as quickly as possible. But when you have an 80% increase in lumber, that builder's taking on a massive risk, because the following day lumber prices could drop, and if they do, then the builder just took a significant loss on his overall cost. I got a call from my friend today who's building a fourplex not far from me, and his lumber costs before were about $54,000 to build out this property. Now it's $107,000. He called me today. He's like, "What do you think I should do?" I'm like, "You have no choice. You have to eat it." And he's eating the loss, over 50 grand. So this is going to be very, very consistent. It's going to go, I believe, to new highs. I think we're going to see a second wave, and this second wave is going to shut down even more mills and lumber yards. And I see this because if you just simply look online, you'll see that this is the narrative that's being sold, that we're going to have a new round of closures coming soon. And in addition to the housing demand that's increased, you also have restaurants nationally that are no longer allowed to have customers inside. So they're building out their exterior patios to accommodate more customers and try to make ends meet and try to really bridge the gap until we've returned to normal. So a lot of these restaurants are doing whatever they can possibly do to survive. A lot of people that own homes are realizing very low interest rates, and they're refinancing their property, taking out $50,000, $100,000, doing a little addition, building out an office, building out a deck, building out a shed. And you have a bunch of do-it-yourself projects happening across the nation. I personally think that we're going to see lumber costs increase greatly in probably the coming 6 months. But me, if I were a builder for clients and I'm going out there building properties and I was the one that was writing the check, I would stay out, because I think there's so much more risk in this market than there is reward. And this is going to ultimately reveal itself very soon. But an 80% increase is a bubble. An 80% increase is such a high increase just 4, 5, 6 months ago. If we go to 120, 130% increase, the cost to overall build your house, a fifth of it is the wood cost, the framing. So that cost has to get really passed on to the buyer. And the buyer has to be willing to pay a lot more money for that property than they were paying 6 months ago. And if that's the case 6 months ago, and right now we're at all-time highs in terms of pricing for these properties, that means that they're betting and speculating that the market's going to be so much higher. Huge risk, and it's all due to these shutdowns. And there's really not much else that we can do except hope that we open up soon, because the cost of construction is just going to go through the roof. And if we don't have more housing stock, then it's going to be very, very unrealistic to think that we can build out more affordable housing to accommodate really the everyday median household. right now we have so many people that are living on stimulus and unemployment. If the government says for whatever reason that that's going to get shut off or it's going to get reduced, it's going to greatly impact the demand for housing and I think the overall economy. The economy is supported by this stimulus and unemployment. The benefits are very helpful for everyday Americans. More than 2/3 of Americans are making more money today than they were making before the shutdown. So that being said, they have more money to spend and they're out there spending and trying to rejuvenate the economy. However, the economy is propped up by the printing of all this really fake money, all this money that they're just printing and printing and printing. Eventually it's going to run out. And I was talking to my friend about this the other day, and he was saying, you know, I just finished a few buildings and all of my new tenants post-pandemic are a completely different group of people than before. Before, we're having people that were, you know, working, college educated, people that were working very hard. Now, he says, I hope that they have money in 6 months. Otherwise, I'm going to be stuck with a backed up court system trying to deal with getting paid. And we're talking about it, and it's just very, very interesting because, you know, the economy and everything that is real estate right now is propped up by either the stimulus and unemployment benefits or the demand that's built out around people moving, the exodus from the cities, people moving out of cities and moving into the suburbs. So things can change very, very quickly, and it's making real estate investors and developers very nervous about how this all plays out in the next 6 to 12 months, because that's about how long it would take to build a house, about 12 months. And I think it's very, very wise to be on the cautious side financially. If you're going to be investing in property and you're going to be leasing out property, make sure you get tenants that are really going to have money and they're going to be in a position to pay you and not be dependent on the government, which is kind of a very rare breed of people today, to not be dependent on the government, because so many Americans are, and it's not their fault. It's the mandated government shutdowns. They were the ones that destroyed all these businesses and these family operations where that, you know, these businesses have been around for 50, 100 years and they're gone, and they're gone forever. And it's not because of their, you know, poor business savviness. It's because of the government. The government did this, and it's going to be a very interesting job market when all this opens up. I believe it's going to be a buyer's market for employers, because there's going to be so many people fighting for a job and there's only going to be so many people hiring. And ultimately, I think it's going to bring wages down because, you know, they just have so many options. And they're also going to be outsourcing for safety precautions. And it's going to just change, I think, the overall landscape for both rental housing as well as new construction will greatly be impacted going forward. So let's see how this all plays out. Let's see if lumber costs increase. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think that lumber costs will increase, or do you think they'll stay the same or decrease? Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.